I started just leaving up here.
No. No, then I ain't gonna trust a word you say.
Don't want to make it. Okay.
I hadn't had a chance to look there about it yet.
What's in your gut, Dale?
Big one.
I can't see it very well.
No.
You'll bring it up and show me?
No.
You're good.
I just thought I'd bring in a cup, so.
And then right
Hey,
there.
I'm Josh. I can talk to you this morning.
Hi, John.
Andrea Gibbons.
Andrew?
We work together in Bowling Green, and we're here to discuss.
Okay. After he called me this morning, I didn't call you back.
That's
It
okay.
kind of threw me in.
Oh, yes, I was just concerned that you wouldn't get the message because, like, no, those flip phones are not easy to use, and you may not want to mess with it.
Oh, what you got to do the first one?
We got to you guys too. Just so y'all have
Flip phone, he was like, I hate using this thing. Put it back in the drawer, so I was afraid yours was in the drawer too. All right, thank you very much.
It
for
just
letting
well
us-
to be sometimes.
Short notice, thank you.
Would you mind handing me an extra one?
It's the last one.
That's the last one. Forget
No,
that.
that's right.
No, I'm okay.
I like this.
I got two.
Usually we have extras, so.
I got an extra one.
You got one?
I gave him a roll.
There you go.
What do you do with it?
I don't know.
I got lots of pens. I got like,
I print one that you gave me.
I need to print.
I started to
Here it is.
Now, if you need it, you keep it.
I don't need it.
I just,
keep
I'll
score.
scribble on one and keep one.
I printed mine out and then she just gave it to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll give folks a few more minutes to get inside. We'll get started.
You didn't come through. I didn't recognize you.
We're doing some rain boots on.
It was a little wet earlier.
Yeah, just a little.
Hadn't had time to change.
Lots of people going on. So I'd like to welcome everyone that has come out on this nasty night to come to our work study session. As you know, for our work study session, it's fairly informal. So I might ask, is there anyone that is not on the agenda that wants to speak to represent anything that you might have on your mind?
I do.
Okay.
I actually have something to hand out to all of you guys for something that I saw on the agenda for Miss Burnett. And it wasn't in her name, it was just a request made by one of our residents here in town.
Okay.
And I think that everybody should know what that person's history is before he goes asking for other people's jobs.
You want to?
Now or later?
Why don't you come on up now before we get started? And we still got folks coming in, so I didn't get. You're not on the agenda, are you? So, you want to speak something on, but to
Are you talking to me or her?
talk to her.
Talking to me.
To, do you want to speak to something that's on the agenda, or do you have a new item?
It's on the agenda.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I've got everything covered. Didn't want to miss anybody. I have been known to get to the end of the meeting and somebody be left sitting and wanted to ask some questions. Miss Jacqueline Kirkman, Westmoreland Senior Citizens Incorporated, if you would come up, please. I don't think the microphone's on, so you have to speak loud.
Okay, my name is Jacqueline Kirkman, and I'm a board member of the Westmoreland Seniors. First off, we're extremely grateful for your generosity to us and the property and the funds you give us. I feel like being downtown, we're excited about the possibilities that can come with this location and what we can do, but as you all know, with moving, there are also increased costs, especially on the front end. And we have a new collaboration, are working on one with the Westmoreland Public Library. We're in the works with expanding our current partnership with Hope Clinic. And through these, we're hoping in the future to be able to maybe offer opportunities and be able to get more funding also, maybe through grants now that we have a building and such. I'm aware that the city came into some unexpected funds this year, and that you're looking at budget amendments tonight. So therefore, I'd like to request on behalf of the seniors, $1,000 to be budgeted this year, just to help get us off the ground until we can put some of these other fundraising endeavors in place for the next years. We are positive about our future and the abilities that we can provide services to our seniors here in Westmoreland. And so I just want to thank you for your consideration in putting that in your budget amendment for this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Joshua Cox, the AT&T.
How are you guys? And this is Andrea Gibbons. She's actually our FirstNet expert that works with me. So I'm going to kind of let her get to going.
Well, thank you for giving us short notice time tonight to discuss FirstNet. Our purpose being here tonight is just to make you all aware of what FirstNet is, how it came about, what its purpose is, and ultimately we just would like to set aside time with whoever it is that would need to help us try to help you implement it in your community here in Westmoreland. We're from Bowling Green. We're in the Bowling Green company-owned store beside Panera Bread, if you're familiar with Bowling Green. I've been with the company for 23 years come April, and with FirstNet I've discovered a purpose to what I do because of the importance it is to public safety and communities. But basically, and you have these, so, but basically FirstNet started about a year ago, or it's actually started after 9/11. Let me give you a brief description of how it came about. After 9/11, the 9/11 Commission did a report, and one of the things that they determined that caused such, well, loss of life, or made loss of life worse for both first responders and the public at large, is that the radio systems, the agency radio systems, were not interoperable. And so Congress, well, first responders went to Congress. They expressed that they needed something else, and Congress agreed. They ultimately appointed a board called the First Responder Authority, and that board was made up of folks that had spent their lives in public safety. So they were tasked with preparing a network just dedicated to first responders. They quickly realized that they needed help from a carrier that had already done this type of thing, build a network, a wireless broadband network. And so they put out a request for proposal, and AT&T won that proposal. And along with that, basically a 25-year contract with the government to provide this mobile broadband network to public safety. We also acquired the 700 band, what they call band 14 spectrum, which ultimately, to build the network, but ultimately what it was, the old TV stations, the UHF TV stations, they were, that broadband, or that bandwidth, I guess, was pulled back when TV channels went digital. And so what they realized is that we needed to, they actually were, government was going to auction off that broadband or bandwidth and just to different wireless carriers for revenue for the government. But then they realized they needed to use this to build this separate core network for first responders. And so along with that 25-year contract to build, operate, and maintain this network, we also got the 700 band. And so they call it band 14. The perfect part of that is that it propagates better than our consumer network. That bandwidth travels further and penetrates buildings better, and so that's why it was perfect for this purpose. And so we've been building it. It's actually supposed to reach, once we're finished, 99% of the population by 2022. We are ahead of schedule on that, about 80% is what I understand.
I don't know if you guys have ever been through Lafayette, had AT&T. About a year ago, you would never have service. Now you do, and that's all because of FirstNet and the towers we built.
The build out for that. I'll tell you, in Kentucky, normally over the course of a year, usually about 8 towers a year, but there's been like 191 towers built in, basically when this
and
started.
essentially what this does, guys, is it's built out specifically for first responders. So as you guys know, anytime you get a lot of people on one tower at a time, it slows it down. It's just like the highway. You get a lot of people on there, it slows it down. So if natural disasters, tornadoes, things like that happen,
networks get congested.
or when you guys had the shooting situation here a couple months ago, everybody's calling and checking on people, and you can't make those phone calls. This gives first responders a fast lane on that. It makes them the first priority to be able to maintain communications when things like that happen.
Reroutes the consumer calls off the network, much like when an ambulance goes down Campbell Lane in front of our store, people pull off, and so it escorts traffic for you all, so that it broadens the lanes of traffic for first responders. And just briefly, who's eligible? Well, at first it was fire, law, and EMS, just agencies, but then they quickly realized that, well, fire, law, and EMS agencies don't always provide phones to everybody, especially like fire stations that have volunteers. So they've opened it up to subscriber paid. So so you can be a fireman, a volunteer fireman, or a fireman, and if the agency doesn't pay for it, then you're still primary. You can still get the same rates that was subsidized by the states, and all of the states agreed to FirstNet and negotiated the pricing for it, which is way cheaper than a regular, like an unlimited talk, text, and data plan with unthrottled data is $39. So if the phone needs to be a hotspot, it's only $5 more. A hotspot for like a laptop or a tablet.
Flip phones typically are unsubsidized. They're $12 unlimited talk and
for
text.
service
so,
on those.
For instance, if y'all's police officers, I was talking to Chief Ray. I know he said that a lot of y'all's have flip phones that they carry. That would be $12 a month, but it gives them that preemption on the network. So if something was to happen, obviously towers get congested, they can still make those communications. We also have deployables. So if you guys were to have a festival here, I live in Portland, so we have Strawberry Festival every year when a ton of people come into town. They actually will send out a deployable to help maintain the towers, and if tornadoes come through or we have an ice storm like we did back in '92, they send out those deployables to make sure the communications stay up for first responders.
They've also extended FirstNet for like not just agency paid or subscriber paid, but also extended primary. So that's still being defined, but utility companies that would respond in an emergency situation, well, a tow truck company, might, I mean, obviously the tow truck driver wouldn't, but the company could. So if they are called out, like if they have a contract with the government to help clean up a mess on the highway, then they would be eligible. Schools are actually also eligible, soft targets that they are, obviously they, you know, that they need communication, obviously, but also because schools help house people in times of disaster, and or the buses can help people evacuate, and so school systems are eligible for it as well. But yeah, the deployable assets are free. What we're talking about is like cell phone on wheels, or Colt, which is
It's
basically
essentially
the
a truck that
light
has
truck.
the tower onto it. If a natural disaster was to happen, it is deployed immediately. It will
14
have your
hours.
tower. It will have your
Within
tower
14
up and
hours.
running within 14 hours.
So, what else would anybody have a question so far?
I guess the only thing that, without reading into your material or
Yes.
anything, is this like a contract basis, or is it just monthly, or?
No, sir. So there's one of two ways you can do it. You can do it non-contract with the devices if you're purchasing themselves. Like a flip phone, for instance, that's FirstNet ready, is normally $60. If you wanted to put that on installments, it would be $2 a month for 30 months. Now, we do have subsidized devices if you wanted to do iPhones, things like that. Normally they're 99 cents with a 2-year contract. But there's no contract if you're buying the phones outright or putting them on installments. You're just responsible for paying for those devices.
There's so many details, like, for example, the first responder is on FirstNet on their own separate rate plan, but their family can take advantage of a first responder appreciation discount of 25% off our unlimited plans.
So it not only takes care of the firemen and the police officers, but it also takes care of their family. Like I was explaining to Chief Ray last night, we could put him on FirstNet, and then his family themselves, because I know he said he had 6 kids. We could save him 25% off of his unlimited plan for his family as well. And it's, something that I know a lot of communities around here have taken advantage of, and something that can probably benefit you guys, especially since we've opened up these towers over in Lafayette, 'cause I know a lot of people travel through that area.
And this network is encrypted as well, and more ruggedized, to withstand natural disasters, or like an ice storm or something like that. They fuel those towers with like natural gas now. They didn't used to have generators, but now they do, and they're fueled by natural gas. So they're
What communities in this area already have it?
Good
So,
question.
so we already have several.
Macon County is
Macon County, they just,
Nashville.
our area manager actually just is finishing up setting up theirs. They have firemen out there who live in Red Boiling Springs who have switched over. I have personally set up what we call subscriber paid. It would basically be like a fireman who's paying his own bill. I've set up several of those out of Gallatin and Hendersonville.
And
I
I've
have
been
family and
active in
friends.
Bowling Green and Warren County and the surrounding areas with volunteer fire departments. ComCare, which is EMS company that services about 5 counties. Western Kentucky University's PD. Our sheriff's department, our Bowling Green Police Department, our fire department for the city.
Metro Nashville
Yeah.
as well.
And I'll give you an example too of how it propagates, if I may, with another minute or two. Browning Fire Department is in our area. It's a volunteer fire department. The night that I went to speak to their board about FirstNet and their firemen, I got out of my car. I was going to text my husband that I made it there because it's a ways, and I'd never been there before, so I wanted to let him know I was there. I had no signal on my phone, no signal. I went into the, not the fire department, but the community center next door where they were having the meeting. And I met the chief. He had been switched over to FirstNet, but they had not given him, whenever they did it, he did it in another city. They did not give him the FirstNet SIM card. There is a specific SIM card for FirstNet that picks up that band 14 spectrum. He had not gotten one of those. So I found that out. I had him come to the store. We put that SIM card in his phone, and not only does he get signal in that building now, they actually also killed their Spectrum internet, that's a carrier in our area. They had internet and phone service for the community center. They ended up going with what they call a Nighthawk router for their unlimited data for the community center and the fire station, and they got a feature phone that they use for their phone line now on FirstNet. They also implemented cradle point apparatuses, which are pretty much
It's an internet box.
it's like internet on steroids for the fire trucks. And so
And a personal example I can give you guys is I have a friend who is a Metro fireman, and I also have one who's a police officer. A lot of times they have to work security at the Titans games, and when you have that much traffic on our network, they couldn't even, and they had that ambient noise, so they can't use their radios, for instance. They would have to text in when they had somebody that they were checking for warrants and things like that. On Sprint and Verizon, they wouldn't even be able to send out a text message when they're downtown. He is literally able to sit there and watch videos on Facebook now when he's kind of palling around down there at Nissan Stadium.
because
So,
it's unthrottled.
yeah, and
data.
he's just surpassing everybody else that's on
Mhm.
the tower. He's, got the fast lane.
The fast lane, yeah, the priority.
Well, we've got
prevention.
all of your information here,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
we will discuss it and discuss it with our fire chief and, our police chief and possibly, EMS and some of the other guys.
Certainly.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'd love to be able to come up with, a quote for you guys and a proposal. I would definitely like to reach out to you again, Mr. Kirkman, if that'd be all right, and kind of get an idea of the head count of the phones that you guys do provide, so to see not only, because I know for a fact it's gonna be a better value and you're gonna get a better service with it, that without a doubt, but I wanna
Right,
make
and
sure
it's-
that it's gonna be within y'all's budget
And
as
it's
well.
public safety's network built by public safety for public safety, and and it will evolve as they give their input as to what they need as well. Also, just on a side note, we're in Bowling Green, which is a 45-minute drive from here, but likewise,
Well, I'm in Portland, so it's
with
20.
but likewise, I should say, like for CommCare EMS, I've been to 3 different counties where they've had meetings, and I sit in a break room and I answer the questions for individuals on subscriber paid, and so I can bring a team of people versus them having to come to Bowling Green. I can, go to separate places.
It would really be just whatever you guys needed,
Right.
and we'll make sure that if y'all have any questions after this, definitely read over this, reach out to me or to Andrea. My email's on there and my cell phone. If you can't get me on the cell phone, I may be with the customer and I don't like to be rude, so just send me a text message, and definitely would look forward to hearing back from you guys.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you
Mr.
for what you do
Appreciate
for your community here.
Yes, thank you guys.
Sorry if it took too long.
Mr. Jay Newsom. Not here, okay. We'll move on to the next item. The regular meeting, we had an item on the agenda, Amanda Wolf, to discuss what her future would be with the city, and that was deferred until the next regular meeting so that we could have some discussion about it at the work study. Mr. Bennell, I think you've gathered some information for us.
Yeah, you've got in your package, basically her work history, since she, signed the contract, which is included, when she started the academy, basically the whole timeline up until, till today. And then the contract, basically was, signed December the 4th, 2018. And, so that was 2 pieces of the puzzle, some background. And then in our previous work study, we had the job description that we had put in place, which is already, which it's attached in there also, depending, which direction we're gonna go on this. But what that, job description was in a paragraph form. I got with Ray and we made it more just by points, and it's easier to read, in this format.